If she saw Team Edward, she'd be like, who are they playing? I'm Haley Griswold.
And I'm Jake Deaton.
And this is The Lost Lore. You never told me that.
I'd never given much thought to how I would die. But dying in the place of someone I love? Sounds like a shit way to go.
Hello, Edward.
I cannot with your outfit in this episode. It looks real. Haley, if you're just listening, Haley has a full widow's peak, and it looks like she shaved it into her hair.
I will drink your blood.
Stop, I'm getting hard.
I'm Arrow, and you're the
Edward.
one, the only Edward. You know, before we even start, it is so important. Let's establish the truth and the facts.
Mm-hmm.
Team Edward.
January 6th was...
I was Team Edward.
Me too.
From the second I opened the first
And my name
page.
is Jacob, and I'm still Team Edward.
Yes.
Like, come on. Has anyone read this fucking book?
Have you
like,
read it?
The vampires are described as literally, like, perfectly, inhumanly beautiful, and you think I'm gonna go chasing some dog?
Yeah, she's like describing how his breath makes her pass out because it smells so good.
His breath.
Werewolf?
Werewolf?
I got a
Wet
feeling
fur?
werewolf.
I don't think
smells-
Edward farts.
I doubt it. He doesn't breathe. There's so much to
There's
say.
so much to
There's
say.
so
This
much
could be
to
like a
say
10-part episode.
Because how old were you when you read Twilight?
Probably 12 or 13.
I read it in 5th grade.
Really?
I was 10.
Wow.
I read it with my best friend. He had a copy.
No wonder you got your period early. You were trying to lure Edward.
When we were kids, I was such an avid reader and I loved reading. And when I saw my friend had that thick ass book, I was like, that looks bigger than any book I've ever read. And I'm up to the challenge. And I read it, you know, the way that you do when you're
Yes.
10 in a night. What about you? So did you read it before the movies came out?
Yes.
Then you were probably younger than 12 or 13.
I was young. My straight older brother, who is the same man who texted me in 2020, you should listen to Pink Pony Club, turned me on to Twilight. So, ally.
Yes.
Ally.
Yes.
And I remember my mom had given it to him, I think, as a gift because she had totally misinterpreted what the book was about. She was a librarian, and she was like, oh, vampire novel. That sounds like fun for my teenage son. And these were not your mama's vampires. You should have been cracking this open yourself, Tracy. And oh, she did.
No, she did.
And so did we. Luke loved them. My straight older brother was obsessed.
Yes. The thing is, all kinds of straight guys were obsessed.
Yes.
Like, I remember in that last year of elementary school and then going into middle school and the movies started coming out, like, straight guys were going with us. The boys wanted to see Twilight at midnight as well because Edward, little boys see him and they're like, you are my Avenger. I should go see this.
And while we're at it, let's clock that tea. Let's just get this out of the way early. Twilight has faults, none of which I will be discussing, but I remember there was this whole obsession with being like, Twilight's so bad, it's so poorly written. Oh, people who read Twilight, like, they're idiots.
Not in my world.
Not in the world I'm living in.
Exactly.
And it was, let's call it what it was. Sexism, misogyny, homophobia. Let's throw in racism. Why not?
It is.
I mean, truly, I things that teenage girls like.
Exactly.
People love to shit on. Did people make fun of you for liking Twilight?
Lord, no.
Really?
No. But I mean, I've kind of always had this personality of like, make fun of me.
You can't be made fun of.
Make fun of me. I want you to. Like,
meanwhile, I'm like wrapping the books in like brown paper so no one knows what I'm reading.
you were? You were ashamed?
Well, I wouldn't say ashamed, but I knew I would be bullied.
Right. Being a girl, everyone had a copy. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? No, I wasn't bullied. I actually feel like it was one of the first times I really had community. I found so many people. We all loved it. We loved it.
I love this book.
Present day you and your knowledge on Twilight could compete with 12-year-old me with my knowledge on Twilight. When we discussed our 10 Commandments, you explained Bible drill. Do you want to re-explain that for us?
Yes. So when I was younger, I was in this thing called Bible drill where they would give you like a Bible verse and you would have to find it in the Bible and literally find it and then read it aloud, or else they would be like, find Zephaniah, the book. And you had about 10 seconds, like in the entire Bible, to find the thing that you were looking for. What else can I do that to?
Twilight.
And I did it several times
So
today.
I did reread the book before this because I was like, I am not getting caught with my pants down because it has been probably 15 years since I've read this.
I want to say, so many things that we revisit as adults, we're like, this wasn't as good. Maybe this was problematic. How did you feel reading Twilight again?
Elated, nostalgic, close to who I truly am is
Horny.
how I felt. Yeah, there was some of that. I made sure to read it on the train just so that I would behave myself. Not the motion. You're so stupid.
I'm so glad you reread it. Did you enjoy that experience? Also, Davis read it.
Yeah.
For the first time.
And he had never read it. Also, I have a friend, and then your cousin, when we were in North Carolina, told Davis that he looks like Edward.
Robert Pattinson. Yeah.
And that has to feel good.
He has many similarities with Edward. Many similarities, let's say. Invading Haley's space non-consensually. Sneaking around in her room, watching her sleep.
Being much, much, much older than me.
Much. Disturbingly.
It is so funny rereading the book. I was like, because when you read it, I read it before I was ever Bella's age. And was like, oh my God, I can't wait to be 17 and find a vampire. And then reading it now as an almost 30-year-old woman, I was like, he's 100.
I was like, even hotter. Make him 200. He's 17.
When you told me that he was frozen at 17, I was like, he might have more knowledge, but maybe he's not able to emotionally develop past like the intensity of a 17-year-old, which is
Makes
evident.
Sense. It's evident in the text.
In the book,
yeah,
right?
It's supported in the text.
So
what you need to do is read Midnight Sun.
You have sung the praises of Midnight Sun.
Because the funniest thing in Midnight Sun, so Edward is also this, he's like this very traditional guy. Like, he wants to get married before he and Bella consummate. And in Midnight Sun, he reads minds. He is listening to the minds of all the women in the school wanting him, and he is literally like, these sluts, these whores, how dare they? These carnal thoughts. I can't believe that these women are just throwing themselves at me. How could they? Meanwhile, he can't hear Bella's thoughts, right?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, what's Bella thinking? Give me that ice pop. She's lucky that Edward cannot invade her brain. Edward is the biggest prude, the biggest, literally is like, oh, the curse of attractiveness. All these women love me and are attracted to me. And he's like, Bella's different. She's academic. We've read Twilight. It ain't all academic.
No. But early in the book, she's like, moves to Forks, and she's like, ugh, God, I already knew everything about trig. I already knew everything about biomedical engineering.
Yes. She's horrible.
Jeez, I already know my blood type, dumbass. Bella is already graduated, right?
That's so true.
And wait, okay. The thing that informed my reading the most.
That's why we related.
Was you telling me that Stephanie Meyer is Mormon. When I was reading this book the first time in 5th grade,
Childhood.
If you had asked me then, what does Mormon mean?
More men. Where you're bringing some more men over?
That's what I would have thought.
Like a dozen men?
You're exactly right. That's exactly what I would have been. Yeah, exactly.
and I said, bring them on.
So rereading it
make
now,
them shirtless.
I'm like, I was seeing some Mormonism.
Some Mormonism. Do you know what gets me about her Mormon thing? Twilight came to her in a dream.
Oh.
She dreamed them in the meadow. And she famously says that she dreamt that scene of a vampire and a human lying in the meadow, him talking about how he loved her, but he wanted to drink his blood. I love to imagine her regaling her husband with this dream the next day and him being like, oh, what happened? She's like, the vampire wanted to suck the girl's blood and they were in the meadow and he didn't have his shirt on and then they just talked. We know where the dream went, Stephanie. Release the XXX version of the dream. Her husband's like, great, let's go to temple. So Midnight Sun leaked back in the day. Why am I so obsessed with everything I like? I always laugh because I'm like, I'm a biggest fan of Taylor Swift and Harry Potter. Because just like every other person in this country. But then I'm like, no. It's different. Spend 10 minutes with me and you'll realize that there's something else going on.
Different, yes. Right, that's why I had to read the book. Because I was like, I'm not sitting here looking like a moron.
She started Midnight Sun as just sort of like a writing exercise. And get this,
Is she a writer? Originally, that was her vocation?
No. So she was like a stay-at-home mom.
Oh, wow.
Mormon stay-at-home mom.
Oh.
And had this
In
dream
Utah?
and literally was like, let me write a $100 million book series the next day.
Yeah, she wrote it all the next
Wish
day.
we could all do that. But she wrote it in like 2 months.
She did?
Yes.
Twilight is written in 2 months.
Maybe 4. It was a really short amount of time
Right,
for
less
such
than
a
a year.
long novel. And another thing people don't understand is like, if you send a 500-page debut novel to a publisher, they will laugh in your face. They're like 500 fucking pages. That's
do you
like
think you
printing
are?
2 books.
Yeah.
Like for a debut novel that we have no guarantee will sell. And apparently the agent who read Twilight just loved it so much. They were like, yeah, I'm going to advocate for this. And they were right.
Thankfully, yeah.
But anyway, she wrote Midnight Sun as like just a writing exercise, and she let Robert Pattinson read the couple of chapters that she'd written when Twilight was filmed. And then she just kept going, and one of her friends leaked the manuscript. And so she knew because
It
they
was
were
a friend?
yes, she was like, I know where the leak came from exactly, because each manuscript that she had sent out was slightly different. I think the last scene in the leaked manuscript was either when they were driving home from Port Angeles in the car, like when he comes out as a vampire, or thereabouts. And I remember she posted the leak on her own website because she was like, it's out there, so I'm just going to post it. But I'm not going to finish this anymore because I'm so fucking pissed. And if I finished the book right now, all the Cullens would die. And then she didn't release it for over 10 years.
Wow.
It came out in 2020. The day that she posted she was releasing it, tears, sobbing down my face. I was so excited. You know I'd read that leak 50 times. Hand down pants.
Fuck that friend, for real.
I know.
You know?
I know. Haley's going to do that to me.
It's so funny you'd say that because I don't know, to the listeners, maybe he has something that I have that's his that I could leak. Maybe it's
nudes.
Maybe I have 2 things that of his that I could leak. Jake has written a YA novel. It's an amazing, amazing, amazing book. I don't want to state any of your details of it, but it does begin with an airport scene.
On an airport flying to the Pacific Northwest.
Which is what happens in the beginning of Twilight.
I would also characterize it as like very moody and atmospheric.
Very. The difference I would say between yours and hers, I mean, first of all, the main character is a gay boy. But
And the smut.
right. You really, really ham up the magic in yours.
Yes, there's more magic.
Yeah, more magic. Whereas
There's also no smut, by the way.
so I have to assume then that this was a huge inspiration to you as a writer.
And I feel so proud to say that with my full chest. I really am such a Twilight defender.
Yeah.
Like a Twi warrior, some may say. Because I do genuinely think it is such a great book. I think, does it teach a great lesson? Does everything have to? When did I have to go to Twilight to learn how to live my fucking life? I'll crack open the Bible if I'm that curious. Like, can we just drop that? Like, people are
and
like,
by the Bible, he does mean Lord of the Rings.
and people all the time are like, this example, this sets the like, I'm sorry, I forgot that I was a person that's capable of feeling differently than the narrator of the book that I'm enjoying.
What 100-year-old, 17-year-old
Yes.
am I going to find?
Yes. There is no real world
Who
version
can run
of this.
faster than any other animal on the planet through
You're
the
so
woods.
right, and you should say it.
When I called you, and I was like, but he's 100, and you're like, but it's sweet. But
He waited for her. He's a virgin. He's a 107-year-old virgin.
Let me suspend my disbelief. I was like, it is accurate about how teenage romance is. It's that intense.
Yes, it is. You feel that way.
And it is that quickly. You're like, I want to marry you and be with you forever.
You dropped this crown, girl. All it's doing is portraying something real.
It is in a lot of ways.
I felt that way about my girlfriends, and I'm
yes,
gay.
Yes, I know. And I felt that way about my boyfriends.
And you're... Well, she's not ready for that yet. Maybe next June.
I want to shout out and say thank you so much to our Patrebugs because we are coming to you live with mic stands, yes. So keep joining our Patreon because it is you guys are investing in the podcast and we really really appreciate that.
And we put it back in.
Yeah. When you wrote your book, actually, I'm always so curious when people write huge pieces like that. Because when I write, I do it in terms of time. I'm thinking of stand-up. Like I'm being like, oh, this many words is a minute type of thing. When people write, pages and pages and pages, I'm like, how does that happen? As she's writing, the red truck that Bella drives just comes to her? Or she always knew that Bella was going to be in a red truck?
I would say it's a complete mix.
Yeah?
Like so much.
Like sometimes it just like they they come to you as you're writing them.
Yes.
Okay.
And the characters, especially, like, I'm literally getting so woo-woo. I'm like, the character may surprise you. Like, they're alive. But it really is that way. So, like, sometimes things truly just strike you in a moment of inspiration. I would say half the book is probably written in that way. I wrote the first 4 chapters off the idea. And, like, I thought about them, but I never outline them. After I wrote 4 chapters, I was like, this is serious, Rachel. And so I outlined the rest of the novel. And then I wrote from that outline until I finished. And I would say that it stayed true-ish to the outline. But as you write, you learn things about the characters, you learn things about the town, you learn things about the plot, and sometimes you have to take a detour and have to like rework something because something else seems more compelling to you. Especially little details like that. Like I would write, and this is a bullet point list of the events that happen in this chapter.
Yeah.
But then I don't see the dressing and the set and the people and like what they're wearing and like, you know, things that may seem so small also come back and become such a part of someone's character. Like Stephenie Meyer fully may have just been like, ooh, a red truck would be fun. And then as she's writing, she gets to bring up the truck again and again, and it becomes more important. Like Haven has this blue bicycle in the Vale.
Haven is his main character.
He's such like a bitchy little gay boy, and he like very snarkily is like, he thought he was gonna get a car, and he like very snarkily calls it Blue Thunder. And Blue Thunder comes up so fucking many times throughout the rest of the book, and I just wrote it on a whim. I was like, oh, he would be disappointed that this is like how he has to get around, so he's going to make a little snarky comment.
Yeah.
But then he comes to love the bike, obviously. And
yeah.
like, you know, then starts meaning the name and like paints it on the side and like.
Yeah.
All of just like a flippant moment.
Do you know much about her writing process?
Actually, I do know something about Stephenie's writing process for Twilight that I wanted to add because it's so fascinating. So she had the dream and she wrote that chapter, the chapter of the dream, and then she finished the book and came back and wrote the beginning up to the dream.
That's
so she started
crazy.
In the middle, finished, and then started at the beginning.
Wow.
And so like the floppiest part of Twilight that no one gives a fuck about, which is the part at the end where James is chasing Bella, that's what she wrote first.
That's so
And then she
insane.
came back and wrote an even bigger half, leading them up to the meadow.
Yeah, wow. I didn't know that. You're Edward in the meadow.
Yes.
Glowing. Now explain to them, because in the movie, this is not what Edward's wearing in the meadow.
In the movie, Edward's very like stylized, dressed up. You know, I think he has a blazer on. But
Does
in
he
the
have
novel,
a blazer on in the meadow?
Yes.
Yeah, we do need to spend some
We're
time
gonna
on the movie.
We're gonna circle back to the movie.
Yeah.
Because it is the one thing. I keep getting derailed. There's so much to talk about. But the movie for Twilight is different. I love the Harry Potter movies. I love the Lord of the Rings movies, but I see them as more single entities in some way. Twilight, I'm like, both are completely distinct and equal masterpieces. Like, I love both for completely different reasons. But in the book, my favorite Twilight content creator, and makes other content as well, very talented person, Sarah Gallagher on TikTok, makes a video about this every so often, and I clutch my side and wheeze every single time. If you read what Stephenie Meyer described Edward to be wearing in the meadow, it is a sleeveless white button down with a collar and blue jeans. This is what Bella Swan was literally a waterfall between her legs over. Like she could not get enough of this unbuttoned, sleeveless. Everyone, I think when you read it, your mind is just like, it couldn't be that.
No.
And so you just read short sleeve button down.
Because they're matching.
Sleeveless. Yes.
Right?
And they're wearing the exact
Bella and Ed were wearing
outfit.
the same exact outfit. And I was going to say, this does look like something that my PE teacher would have been wearing, Coach Holloway. It's a women's blouse.
And that's what Bella would wear. Bella's wearing a blouse. That's the only word to describe Bella.
Did you just rip the sleeves off with your vampire strength? Ooh.
And I want to hear a little bit about this process.
I am Arrow from the Volturi. Let's just say widow's peak, white skin. I mean,
it's very convincing. But the Volturi, I actually think, are so scary.
They're frightening.
One of the most frightening entities that I've ever read about in a book. Because I'm like, this makes sense.
That
they would be in charge like this.
It really does. She built a
world. Women's stories matter.
Especially because, you know, the first book doesn't even get into the werewolf.
There aren't even
all.
werewolves.
Yeah.
How about this? Other than Edward, if you could hook up with one character in the Twilight universe,
it's so bad. Why was my knee jerk to say Charlie? I don't know.
This is why we're on this couch today. This is why we have this. Yes. Especially from the movies. Especially from the movies.
I don't know why it's Charlie.
He's hot.
Yes, it's Charlie. Honestly, that's the precedent that it sets that I'm not into. Don't be making dinner for your dad.
No,
Get your dad's ass to the grocery store.
Let's have that conversation.
Yeah, she was taking care of Charlie a little too much
Way too
for
much.
me. Yeah.
Way too much.
And then at the end when he's like, you baby me. You let her baby you. You let that happen.
Could not be less attentive. Like, how do you think Bella gets up to all this stuff anyway?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, how does she have the time to go out and do this stuff? Because Charlie ain't home.
And you know what other thing
He's
it
fishing.
does so accurately? He's a cop, the cop, Chief Swan, and...
ACAB means Charlie Swan.
But also, she was like, I didn't get my clumsiness from my mother. Of course, the chief of police
Is
in Forks,
clumsy.
Washington is clumsy. How many
3 deaths
bodies
a year.
does he have? Exactly.
How about this one?
Okay.
If you could have one of their powers, which one would you have?
Probably Alice's.
I mean, that
although
would be
it's a
the
bit
most useful.
unpredictable, right?
It is.
The mind reading.
And if you lean into it too
let's clarify
much.
what everybody's are, just in case.
Yes,
I just am
sure.
thinking of my poor cousin, who I know.
Doesn't know a
She's
thing.
like our most attentive listener.
I see him walking down the street, and I
wouldn't know a thing. If she saw Team Edward, she'd be like, "Who are they playing?" So Edward has the ability to
read minds,
accept Bella's, of
accept
course,
Bella's.
and
from a distance, he can hear it like
if you're kind of in
the
radius,
building, yeah.
Right. He's kind of like Grindr in that way.
Yeah.
If you're close by,
Yeah.
he can hear it.
70 feet away.
But Alice has the ability of, it's like sort of
A
premonition.
conditional ability to see the future.
She sees what could be.
Yes. She saw me eating a sweet green salad, but I ordered Shake Shack. I considered
But she
it.
knew we ordered.
She knew we thought about it.
And then Jasper has the ability to sort of control moods.
Yes. That's a good one.
That would be a good one.
Like,
Although you already kind of have that.
well, so do you. But they get into it all. Jasper, talk about more problematic aspects of this novel that I'm literally like, there's nothing problematic. Jasper, Confederate war general.
I forgot about that part.
And willingly and excitedly joins. Never has a reckoning. Never is like, maybe you would think Stephanie Meyer could just throw in a paragraph of being like, I'm so glad I gained the perspective that was wrong. No, he's like, my proudest accomplishment.
And that's so funny that he says it's its proudest accomplishment, because all of the rest of them are like, we don't remember shit about being a human.
He's like, I remember.
He's like, no, that was, get me back, take me back. It is funny too that Alice, who is the only person who asks Bella if she can pick her up, she's so about consent, she's such a nice, thoughtful person, is with Jasper? Jasper!
I know which one I'm choosing.
Who?
As we explain them all, I was gonna say Edward or Alice. Rosalie, I want to be the extra special, beautiful one. That's even more beautiful than the most beautiful.
The thing I love so much about how Stephanie Meyer writes Rosalie.
We get it, lesbian.
Is that I hate when we have to make the hot girl nice.
Yes.
No, she's a fucking
Yes.
bitch. She's so mean.
And I love
We don't
it.
hear a word out of her in the 1st
You're
book.
gonna love Midnight Sun.
Really?
You are gonna love
Really?
Midnight Sun. You think she was mean in Twilight?
Oh, what she's saying
Girl,
behind the scenes.
The shit she says to Edward. The mud that's a true Haley Griswold. You are gonna see yourself in
all
there.
right. I'm sold. I'm reading it. Part 2 coming soon, fellas.
Do you relate to Bella?
Yes, but it's funny you should ask. I think that I, and certainly you, and I do have the text here to pull from, that more you and I relate to Edward. I'm just going to crack
Wait
open
till you read Midnight Sun,
to
girl.
page 39 and tell me that this is not how you and I talk to any person we're just meeting. Page 39. We're not even 50
I'm so
pages
curious what's happening in
into
this.
the book. He's talking with Bella, and he goes, "You don't like the cold. It wasn't a question. Or the wet. Forks must be a difficult place for you to live," he mused. "Why did you come here then?" "It's complicated. I think I can keep up."
This is us in the girls' bathroom at the club.
"My mother got remarried. This is us." "That doesn't sound so complex. When did that happen?" "Last September. And you didn't like him?" "Once again, not a question." "No, Phil's fine." "Why didn't you stay with him then?"
First time meeting. First time meeting.
This is their first
This is
real
us
conversation.
to a T.
And then he just keeps
Personal.
saying all this personal stuff. Like, this is
Matt and Davis are
literally...
standing to the side, humiliated while we're talking to the CEO of the event that we're at.
Meanwhile, we're saying to the CEO, "But you're unhappy now." But actually, as I was reading this, I really was like, wow, I read this at such a formative time of my life, because a lot of things about me are completely informed by this book.
Yes. Well, the first person of it all. This was the first book I remember reading in first person.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm in her head. And I just felt that was so slay. And, I was in the Hunger Games. The Hunger Games will never be to me what Twilight is to me.
Yeah.
Like, I know that it is for people, and I see people in my comments all the time like, I would have killed for this, and I'm so grateful that I got to do it. But, like, compared to Harry Potter and Twilight, it's, like, not even close. And I love the Hunger Games. Like, but this, to me, was, like, because it's also told in first person, but I was like, I'm not a killer. I'm a lover, and I love Edward Cullen. I found it so much more relatable.
I don't think it was the first first-person book I read because I was actually a really, really big Nicholas Sparks fan. So I was reading The Notebook. I was reading A Walk to Remember, and those...
And you cracked open Twilight, and you said, fuck all those books.
Exactly.
Men shouldn't write these books.
Exactly. I actually do think that.
I will defend this book to the ends of the earth, and I'm not going to say it's perfect. There are obviously some problematic elements, and I think that what Stephenie Meyer gave to literature can only be compared to William Shakespeare.
I agree, honestly. She wrote something real.
Yes.
She wrote something real.
That's how I felt.
Yes.
Even when Matt and I started dating, I read these maybe once a year. And when Matt and I started dating, I was like, I want to read something that lets me feel the excitement of this love in like an honest way. And I cracked open Twilight immediately.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah. I think that tells you the power of it because it is 17 and 100-year-old falling in love in high school. You know?
And having a baby as teenagers. Like, you know, people make so much fun of Renesmee at Bella's baby.
That is the most teenage thing in the world, though, by the way. The most. Like, to combine
Dude, I'm going to
names.
make a name.
I'm going to make a name that's a combo of names of people we just love and treasure. Because now, as we're
dodged
older,
a bullet on that
we're
one.
like Henry. You know what I mean? We're not, like, trying to be creative or whatever. Renesmee.
The story, that's where another place you can see the Mormonism. Like, it's like, not only we're going to get her married before she has sex, mind you, then the first time she has sex, baby.
Yes.
And Bella loves the baby, never even thinks of getting rid of the baby. Like, you see the Mormon influence, but when I'm reading it, I'm like, you're right, Bella. You made all the right decisions, queen.
Yes, you're like, please, you really shouldn't kiss him till page 300 of 400.
Guard that chastity, girl.
But the most relatable part, especially if, oh my God, if it was Edward, every time he kissed me, it would be I'm attacking him.
Me. I would be clawing through his hair, like it would be scary.
You know what feature of Edward is
dick.
The thing that I want most.
Ice cold cock.
I want his ice cold body. Yeah, I do. At night, I want to be right up next to him,
me too.
freezing cold. And then whenever I get hot, like kind of like a pillow, I'm like, flip over, let me spoon. I'll be the big spoon now. That is his
that
best quality.
That would be so valuable.
Yes.
The line that Stephenie Meyer had to walk landing this plane of like writing a book for young adults, for kids in school. Breaking Dawn not only contains incredibly explicit references to sex. Like, it's not on screen, but they talk about it and you know what they're going to do. Then it has the most gruesome pregnancy sequence of any book or movie or TV show I have ever seen or read.
Yes.
Bella vomits a fountain of blood. They watch her back break. Edward is biting the baby out of her fucking stomach, biting her all over her body to sealing in the venom with his tongue. It's literally like Edward was running his tongue along my arm, sealing the venom in the wounds. Has to bite Renesmee out because the instruments cannot get through the vampire skin. World building. And it's gruesome. Blood is everywhere. Bella dies. And I'm like, I was reading this at like 14, like, interesting. Like,
I actually can vividly like picture myself in my bedroom when I was reading Breaking Dawn. I was reading Breaking Dawn.
Bella, no!
You imprinted on my daughter.
Where you been, Loca? Please remake Twilight in the South. Jasper will feel right at home.
Shall we go on the movie a little?
Yes.
All right. So you don't know, Jake, about my time as a journalist.
New York Times?
A little thing.
Bigger.
Yeah. My middle school is called Lewis Middle School. Our mascot was the Falcon. And our morning show was called Flight Time.
Ooh.
And
so you were on camera.
Somebody may have been a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or For 2 years. Kind of something that's never happened in Flight Time history that a host did 2 years on the program.
I think you were Time Person of the Year that year.
Yeah, I was. It was a morning show where we gave the news, like, the dances this week, or lunch, this is the menu for lunch and whatever, and we would report, or like, this is Teacher of the Month, and like I had a desk and I would report the news and whatever, and it was also pre-recorded and would come out the next day. One of the things was like we would have like word of the week. We would have these really big words that we would do, and so we would make skits where you'd use the words in a sentence and stuff. And Twilight had such a massive splash in middle school because it came out, and I'm wearing that Team Edward shirt.
Hell yeah.
Every day, And I remember the word was translucent. And my friend Mackenzie, if you're out there, girl, you were probably the greatest comedy partner I've ever had. No offense.
Just pouring out for Miss Mackenzie. Let's have her on the pod.
In the movie, when Bella finds out Edward is a vampire, they go a little different.
Yeah.
He never, in the book, says, say it
out loud.
And she says,
vampire.
We did this thing where she's like, because she in the movie, she's building up. She's like, your skin, your hair, your da-da-da. And so I'm like, your translucent skin and your cold, pale demeanor. And I'm saying all these words. And Mackenzie's like, say it out loud. And me, 13, delivering a performance. I'm like, a mermaid. And I remember thinking, motherfucker, someone come discover me. I'm burning a disc of Flight Time and sending it out because I'm fucking funny, man. And I remember thinking that was the funniest joke I've ever made in my life. Like, I'm so dumb, But I remember we would just sit at the computer and just watch it over and over and over and be like, dude, should we put this on YouTube?
Did you ever do that?
No, I never did.
I uploaded a couple of things to YouTube.
Did you?
I did.
You did?
Very embarrassing shit. Like me in Harry Potter, where I would like splice the movie of Voldemort like dueling Harry, and then I would film myself on a tripod with a flip video camera dueling back my wand off screen because there's no red light coming out of mine. It's so embarrassing.
So cute though. You were such a funny kid, and you reveal new funny things every week.
I was a weirdo.
Last week you were writing to Steve Jobs.
Mm-hmm. I was a weirdo. I was so weird.
I love it though. Do you remember when the movie came out? Were you a midnight premiere?
No, but my favorite scene from the book, I don't think is in the film. It is when doing the blood typing. When Bella smells the blood.
Yes.
And gets walked out by Mike Newton, who I think Davis would play. You're Bella, I'm Edward. Can
we say she is so mean about Mike? She's literally like, he's a golden retriever.
I pictured his tail wagging as he followed me to class. I thought about throwing him a little bone. Like, Bella is mean.
But Mike is annoying.
Her whole inner monologue is literally like, these dumb simpletons. What ease their lives must have. I've grown fond of them as I might grow fond of a family hamster. Like,
that's really kind of how she is.
I love that scene when Edward comes and takes Bella from Mike.
Yeah.
It's like just the perfect sexy vampire moment of like, Mike, this guy that this loser puppy dog that I'm leaning on. And then I get physically whisked off my feet by the hot, sexy, ice cold vampire.
Yeah.
But I would say in the movie, when Edward and Bella are in the biology lab for the first time, that sequence of when he spots her and is like, you fucking reek, bitch. I love that scene.
No. My look is a little Dracula. Like, it's just like very traditional vampire.
It's very Dracula.
I will drink your blood.
Would you be a vampire?
Yeah.
Like, if you had the offer?
Yeah.
What's one thing about us? We ain't dying if that option's on the table.
An option to not die, be really, really beautiful and beloved and wanted by everyone around me.
Never age.
Super fast. Never have to worry.
Smart.
And the thing too, I'm not trying to be like eating disorder central here, okay?
I knew that's where this was going.
So let's just say, but it would be nice to not have to think about fucking breakfast, lunch, and dinner every damn day. What are we gonna have for dinner? I hate that question. So of course I would be a vampire just on the premise of like, we only gotta hunt once in a while.
And here's the thing. It would be me and Haley. What do you want for dinner? Elk?
Elk, I guess.
Cheetah? I don't know. Gay guy? Probably not. Probably not that one.
No. We'll be ethical about it.
Hear that, Chick-fil-A? But I would too. I can't. So many people say no. They're like, I want to be in the Lord's bosom. I want to be in Edward's bosom.
Me too. For
Forever.
life.
And superpower? Hot? You had me at hot. Let's be honest. I didn't need the strength. I didn't need the power. You had me at superhuman beauty.
I'm just like, I know one day, like probably after she dies, a tell-all's coming.
Oh,
from
and I'm
Ms.
writing
Swift.
it.
From Taylor Swift.
That one too.
And we need to be alive to read that.
Yes.
Yeah, I want to read
and
that.
not a moment longer.
Yeah, so
because I don't want to be in a world without her.
I'm saying if I'm a vampire.
No, the first thing I'm doing is jumping up on stage and biting Taylor. You'll make albums for me forever.
And your voice will stay just in the same exact resonance it is now.
This is going so off the rails.
Yeah, let's bring it back in. Okay, so you didn't see the movie right away?
No, I didn't. I can't believe that was the original question that got us started on that.
I know what you are. Glistening skin. Fat ass.
Say it out loud.
A Patri bug.
Come on down.
Come on down for $3. You can get your blood sucked.
We'll go look at you at night while you sleep through the window.
And you can look at us. Full video episodes every single week with bonus content.
Mm-hmm. And if you can't support on Patreon, please go give us a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify. Give us 5 stars. And you can follow us on all of our social media accounts, which are just The Lost Lore.
And if you can't do any of that, it's fine. We just think of you as like the werewolves.
Right. Team Jacob. So no, I was so afraid of being bullied that I had to wait until the iTunes release, and I watched it on my iPod Nano.
What?
I watched Twilight for the first time, a novel that I knew front to back by heart on a 3-inch iPod Nano screen.
Me. I need it to go to a huge IMAX theater and us go see it the way that it's meant to be seen.
And we're wearing this. We're wearing these costumes.
Oh, we're dressed up. Yeah, yes. Was that the case for all of them?
No. I went to the theater for the rest.
Okay, Thank it was God. Just the original.
Yeah. I got a little bravery.
Okay.
I was like, I gotta go see this midnight.
You got a girlfriend and you're like, babe, don't drag me to this.
I'm like, I'm a great boyfriend.
Yeah. No,
that movie, when people are like, we went to NYU, knew a lot of film students. I lived on the film floor. People were always like, Odyssey 3000, Ben-Hur, Twilight. I actually don't think you should be admitted to NYU unless you can admit that Twilight is probably the greatest cinematic achievement ever made.
You know what proof there is to back that up? Robert Pattinson and Kristen Stewart are 2 of the greatest living actors of our time.
They knew.
They really are. That's not even me. Like, I'm not just saying, haha. No, he's fucking Batman. And you saw that Studio Ghibli movie he was in. His voice.
He ate down.
He was amazing.
Just so revolutionary, so ahead of its time. Some people weren't ready for it. They just didn't understand. It was so meant for the year 3000 in many ways. But the blue filter, the iconic blue filter.
I want to put the blue filter on this.
Please do.
For the edit, I should find a blue filter. I just want to over the whole thing.
So iconic. And they made it on a shoestring budget. They literally, no one believed in it.
Robert Pattinson had to really learn how to stop a moving vehicle.
Yes,
that's how low budget it was.
The Edward originally had a different actor. He's not with us anymore. But I also think I'm gonna have to fact check this. Maybe I'll do it in the comments if we don't go back and look. But this was true at one time that it was the highest grossing film by a woman director.
What?
And the fact they knew to hand this precious biblical text to a woman.
Yes.
And the fact that they ever strayed from that. Twilight is a cut above the rest of the films. Like, let's say it. Wouldn't you say?
Yes.
And it's so stylized. I mean, it's so different than the novel in many ways, but it's like it needed that. The novel has just this electric energy, and it was like you couldn't just convey that without a blue filter.
No.
Like you needed it to be a little special. You needed it to be a little stylish.
Let me ask you this. Is it weird to ask this? Like, if you were a vampire, what animal you'd be interested in trying to hunt?
I think that's a great question.
I know it's weird, and I don't want to offend any vegan vegetarians. This is
we have to. It's sustenance. But
we have to. It's sustenance. It's literally either this or I'm killing you, person who's offended.
Well, like the thing I'm obsessed with about Edward Cullen, he literally was like, "Let me choose the endangered species. I'm the perfect killer." I'm faster and stronger than anything else, and I could hunt anything. I think I'll go with the thing that could be dead in our lifetimes.
Yeah.
That seems fun.
And he's like, and I'll be around to see to it.
Yeah.
That they do go extinct.
I'm actually moving one species to another. All of those extinctions
there will
that you
be
learned
no
about.
pandas left. Wait, so what would you do?
I think I'd want to just kind of change it up. Maybe go aquatic.
Oh.
Maybe great white shark.
Ooh. Even like, I don't want to do it to a dolphin, even though
I can't do it to my girl.
No.
That's my girl.
That's my girl. That's my friend.
Well, you want to do something that'll fight back a little.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, yeah.
a little game.
Yeah. I'm not going to do chicken.
I had that before.
Right. Because that's it. They drain the blood.
Yeah.
They're not eating the animal.
Isn't that gross? Like, imagine.
Ew, I'm like, I
and
don't
just
want to
having
bite
your
into a
mouth
grizzly bear,
on the
actually.
fur.
So then I'm like, maybe big cat, because it's like just...
You could kill a cat.
No. But, I mean, I would make them a vampire cat, though.
Sure.
MJ, he's with me forever.
I thought about that today because do you remember Immortal Children? I think about this with Henry. So
What is this?
it's one of the ultimate Volturi's rules. You cannot make an immortal child because they cannot learn, they cannot be taught, they cannot be they retain that sort of like childlike developmental stage, which is why let's set the record straight once and for all. Edward Cullen was fair game. You retain the mental stage of development that you were frozen at. And the problem with the kids is that they wrote about how they would like kill whole towns. World building. There's a set to this story. And so it's too dangerous to make them, and it risks exposing the secret to everyone. So if you make an immortal child, you're put to death by the Volturi. Would you make an immortal child? MJ? Because I thought about pets. I was like, if you could make a vampire pet, there's no way that you could teach that pet how to behave in the vampire world. And it would be super fast, super strong, invincible. Would you make MJ a vampire and try to conceal it?
I wouldn't even really bother concealing it.
You're like...
She's alive and I'm alive. Yeah, I'm doing it.
And if the Volturi come knocking, you're killing them all.
Yes.
Ooh, you can't talk about Twilight without talking about the music. The music
from a scene that I can't believe neither of us said as a favorite, because this is just an automatic slated in the number one spot of this
probably
movie.
the best scene of all time.
The baseball scene.
The baseball, super massive black hole.
Yeah.
That's what I'd have after Edward was done with me. Let's just be clear. Super massive black hole. And it would be ice cold. That baseball sequence, sex, drugs, rock and roll, church. My neighbor Shelby telling me the birds and the bees when I was 6. Like the
Emmys, Oscars, Tonys, everything. It's all. I get it. Yes.
Just Alice throwing her leg up in the air. I see it when I close my eyes.
I don't even have to close my eyes. It's just there. I see it right now. I see nothing but it. And that too.
The baseball scene uses it so perfectly, but all the music, when the full moon, when she's driving into Forks, and then what's the just like...
Can I get mine? It's not from the first movie, but eventually. I have died every day waiting for you.
You were a quick, wet bird. Is that what is it?
What?
No. The audience will know. No. And then the one that Robert Pattinson sings. Oh, you in my arms. Do you know that one?
He's really singing?
Yes.
Robert Pattinson sang in that movie?
He also composed Bella's Lullaby.
Robert Pattinson?
Yes.
I love Robert Pattinson.
I know. I want him. I'd leave Matt for him too.
I actually love Robert Pattinson so much. He's so cute and funny, and hot and sexy and funny, smart, good looking, chiseled. I hate the way that Robert Pattinson is ashamed of Twilight.
I know, but he is so funny about it. At least
it's funny.
Like,
He is funny. But I wish that he would be more like
both.
Yeah,
like be funny about it, but then be like, yes, it is a generational defining masterpiece, and I did that.
Own it, yes, because. You don't know what you did.
You don't know what you did, King. Please.
And I don't ever hear Kristen Stewart really bad mouthing it, though I'm sure she has plenty of embarrassment. And I love her.
I do too.
I really love her. When I was a kid, when I was in middle school, when this came out, there was no chance any actress who wasn't me could be Bella.
Could be Bella Swan, yeah.
But now, thinking of the movie and after just rereading the book, she is Bella.
She is.
She's Bella. She does the hair so well. She does the so well.
Stephenie Meyer literally is like, she's Bella. Do you know who she doesn't like?
Who?
Robert Pattinson.
She doesn't like him as
It's
Edward?
not that she didn't like him. She was just like, he's not my Edward.
Who's
She's
her
like
Edward?
only in her mind, baby.
Oh, really?
Yes. She's like, fuck Bella. They could have pulled someone off the street. She doesn't care. She's like, but my Edward?
That ain't my Edward. Oh, that's so funny.
I would love to have her on. Stephanie, girl.
Steph, girl, sweetheart. Hey, we'll have a big soda for you. She's Mormon, right?
Yeah.
They love soda. I got you. I got you. I love Twilight.
Me
And
too. I could talk about it
I know, I think I
forever.
could talk about it all night, and that's why I'm just like, I think we just have to wrap.
I know.
But
Well, we'll do a part 2.
we have
This
to.
is one we'll have to hit
I mean,
back.
we'll have to, and I want to
New
reread
Moon.
all of I will read the one from Edward's perspective.
Yes. Midnight Sun. I could do a whole episode of Midnight Sun.
And we'll do it again another
Yeah,
time.
perfect.
Sometime off to hunt.
Look out, great white sharks. And what was yours?
I'm changing. Domestic dogs. See you next time.